Hi, I'm Melissa, and this is the Book Break. And today I'm talking to an author for kids around 12 and younger, and honestly, adults too. Her name is Monique Bucheger of the Ginnie West Adventure series. We're going to bring her on in. Did I get your name right?
You did. Thank you.
Yay!
Oh, good. The
Well,
C messes everybody up.
so, Monique, I'm so excited to talk about your books because I've loved what I've been reading so far with the Ginnie West Adventure series. And I think really kids 8 years old and up would really love this, but adults would love it too. So, the book number one is The Secret Sisters Club. Tell me a little bit more about it.
Yes, The Secret Sisters Club is a contemporary middle grade novel about belonging, overcoming hard things, finding joy in the journey of your life, and finding the courage to change your own stars when hard things happen, because hard things happen to all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when I was reading this, I was thinking it's a little bit like The Parent Trap, which I love. I
Yeah.
love The Parent Trap. But this one has a different take on it because these girls were not sisters. They want to be sisters. And I mean, what 12-year-old girl didn't want to become sisters with her best friend?
Yep, not too many of them. Yeah, and so they're able to do that because Jenny, her birth mom died when she was 3.5, and Tilly's birth dad abandoned his family when she was 6. And so you meet them when they're 12. They've been best friends since kindergarten. And Tilly one day says, "Well, if your dad marries my mom, we can be sisters for real." And so they come up with something called Operation Secret Sisters. And the only big problem is Jenny's dad decided he was never going to remarry or date. So they have to overcome that.
Yeah, yeah. And, they also have, Ginny, she has a twin brother, and
Yes.
he gets involved into their adventures too. And
Yes.
I think another thing that I really liked about your series is it addresses some difficult topics that I think is really cool because it allows parents and teachers and any adults to talk about these things.
Absolutely. I've actually had teachers read my book, Trouble Blows West, my second book in the series, with their classrooms. And because it deals with on page 2, Jenny gets on the wrong side of the biggest bully in 6th grade. He goes after her twin brother, Torin, and Jenny ends up knocking the bully on his rear in front of the entire cafeteria. So that's a problem, right?
Yeah.
But the bigger problem is the reader finds out pretty quickly that Pierce the bully is being abused at home.
Yeah.
And Ginny doesn't find out right away. But when she does find out, she and Torin and Tilly decide to put aside their hard feelings for him and become his ally because he won't let them be his friends. But it's a story of kids overcoming hard things and turning the other cheek and trying to make something good out of something bad.
Yeah, I love that. And, that makes me think about you have an interesting story yourself. What brought you to become a writer and then write these topics?
Well, I was a former foster mom. I fostered over 100 kids. When I was just before my 18th birthday, my husband proposed, and I went to school the next day and said, "Mrs. Johnson," who was my creative writing teacher, and I said, "I'm getting married," and she's like, rolled her eyes at me, and I said, "What?" And she's like, "Monique, you're too smart to get married this young." And I'm like, "What does that even mean?" And she's like, "You're going to get married, you're going to have a bunch of kids, and you're not going to write your books, and you need to write your books." That's what she told me. And so I said, "Mrs. Johnson, I am almost 18. I can do it all. I can be a wife, a mother, and an author." And so 12 years later, I had 5 kids. I'd fostered over 100, and I'd written 0 books.
Yeah.
So 2 years later, she died. And 8 years after she died, I heard her say, "So, Monique, when were you going to write those books? Huh?" And Mrs. Johnson was 5 foot nothing and very intimidating, but I loved her. And she's a hero of mine, and she championed me. And so I loved her so much that I made a character in my second book, Trouble Blows West.
Yeah, that's such a fun story. Well, and I think you bring up a good topic that sometimes people, let's be honest, whose life has gone exactly as we've planned? None of us, right?
Yes.
And so I love that you bring out that topic that, it's never too late to follow your dreams. And I love that. And you have another book that I have to admit my 5-year-old daughter stole from me.
I love that. I love it.
It's so cute. So it's Popcorn. And I want to hear a little bit more about this story.
So I used to babysit for some kids on a different farm, and Pammy and Sarah. And every time I would babysit for them, they'd say, "Can you tell us a new Jenny story?" So we would make up stories because Jenny was kind of a Dennis the Menace type character when she was 3.5, and Popcorn was our favorite story. And then on I used to babysit for their cousins as well. And actually, my series is set on a real farm in Ohio. And the girls on my cover are the blonde girl. Her name is Gracie, and she actually lives on the farm. And the brunette girl, her name is Jessie, and she poses as Tilly. And the girls are cousins in real life, and they're best friends in real life. So that's why you can see how happy they are together.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you also have an amazing illustrator that you've worked with too, named Mikey Brooks. And
Absolutely.
Mikey is so cool. Like, let's look at this popcorn cover, and you can see how cute this illustration is. I love it. And Mikey also is an illustrator, but also an author. How did you get connected with Mikey?
I met him at something called Story Makers, and I loved it. And we talked one day, and then he just drew this picture and emailed it to me of Ginny's mom, actually, when she was 12. And there's a picture of that picture in Popcorn, and it's kind of hidden. And so I think it's pretty cool. Mikey and his wife just had their 6th child. And 2 weeks after Johnny was born, he had to have brain surgery. So I would love it if people check out Inside Mikey's World, because he's a phenomenal author, artist. He's a great person. And he's a middle grade author, and he had just launched his book, Camp Legend, and then Johnny's surgery happened. So
yeah.
yeah.
Well, and you brought something else up, and that is you do a lot of advocacy and other things to help boost other people.
Absolutely.
And you have The Hero Inside Me, and this is your website, and you have some really cool stuff. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I believe ordinary people can do extraordinary things. And I believe everybody has a hero inside them, and it helps us to do things when we think we can't, we really can. And I want kids to know that, life happens, and, 10% of is what happens to us, and 90% is how we respond. And so I really believe that, kids have the power to be a superhero inside them. And,
yeah.
Also, if people want to go onto theheroinsideme.com, there is a free gift there for you. It's paper dolls that Mikey drew of Ginny and Tilly as paper dolls. So at some point in the future, I'm going to have a contest, and kind of like a Flat Stanley contest, and have Ginny and Tilly put up. A friend of mine took them to Tokyo Disneyland. So
how fun.
So eventually I'm going to get those up on the website. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, and the characters, Ginny and Tilly, I mean, they're lovable characters. And so when you start with the series and read the Ginnie West Adventure series, you'll fall in love with them. I mean, you really do fall in love with these girls in book 1, and just their sweetness and their authenticity, I think, is great. So this is fun. And another thing that is fun about them too is you have these books available in audio. So we've got paperback, we've got ebooks, and on audio too, right?
Yes, all my books are available at on audiobooks at kobo.com. I'm still getting them up on Audible, but COVID.
Yes, I know. That's slowed a lot of things down.
Yeah.
And so I know that with the Ginnie West Adventure series, you have a positive message that goes throughout. What do you hope that parents will be able to get, or their children will be able to get from these books?
Just that, they can change their own stars, that they have the power to make whatever decision. Just by making deliberate choices, you can do anything. And I think it's important that kids know that whatever they can dream, they can achieve. And I think that's important.
Yeah, definitely. And I've recently been recommending books for the month of January, and I chose these books because I think, one, they're fun, but they have a good message too. And so I think that we've got 4 books right now, and there's more coming, right?
Yes, I'm working on book 5 right now. I'm hoping to have it done and ready to launch by May 1st, maybe sooner. And then I'm working on book 6 as well, and hopefully that will be done by the end of the year at the latest. But yeah.
Awesome. So 2021, everyone needs to get in, check out the Ginnie West Adventure series, and they can find it on Amazon and Kobo, and learn more about you on your website. And you're also on social media.
I am. Thank you. I'm not as good at social media, but I'm working on it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here with us, Monique.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
You bet. And you guys can check out our credits and see all of the places you can find Monique and learn more about Ginny and Tilly.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time on The Book Break.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.